belong together, you and I.
We do, but this is not gonna work, you know, because I'm a Capricorn and you're not!
Hellboy may not be the most famous comic book hero in the world, but he's certainly well-loved enough to get his very own cinematic reboot by director Neil Marshall, a little over a decade after Guillermo del Toro's cult classic duology. Unfortunately, the return of Big Red is anything but a welcome return, or a worthy successor to the original films. A complete and total reboot of the franchise, Hellboy tries to make an entirely new cast work, with Stranger Things' David Harbour taking over the title role from Ron Perlman, and Ian McShane bringing a new version of Professor Broom to life in John Hurt's stead. That's really the first mistake. Harbour and McShane lack any sort of real chemistry with one another, which repeatedly fumbles the father and son dynamic that is supposed to carry both Broom and Hellboy through their respective arcs. McShane spends the bulk of his screen time providing info dump exposition while Harbour rolls his eyes as best he can under all the makeup, which maybe could have worked if we were given any indication that their relationship had ever been anything but rocky. This version of the BPRD, the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, the Hellboy world's version of the X-Files, is less keen on researching or defending and more excited to act as sort of a paramilitary kill squad. McShane's Broom fits into that niche as not a kind-hearted researcher who adopted a demonic baby as his son, but as a gun-toting killer who let a creature he was supposed to kill survive and later call him dad.
Hello, son.
This probably wouldn't be too big a problem if Harbour's Hellboy weren't so completely reliant on his daddy issues to have some semblance of a character arc. Or maybe he's supposed to be focused on his angst about being an inhuman creature forced to hunt down other inhuman creatures to save humans. The movie never really makes up its mind, tries to hedge its bets between the two, and comes up short on both.
Where's my violin?
The rest of the ensemble, Daniel Day Kim as Ben Daimyo, Sasha Lane as Alice Monaghan, and Milla Jovovich as Nimue, the Blood Queen, are characters with no live-action history, but all sadly feel like afterthoughts to the Harbour McShane family drama hour. Jovovich, for her part, embraces the full-on horror camp of her character, a medieval witch who wants to wipe out humanity, but campiness can only take a villain so far. The story itself tries to be much more faithful to the Hellboy comics than the Del Toro duology, but suffers from a completely unfocused series of intertwining plots. Sure, they're all plots that Hellboy readers will likely recognize, at least in part, but the finished product feels a bit like comic book salad. Various ideas and concepts from the books cut out and pasted together ransom note style. Add to the clutter of the plot some truly embarrassing CGI, and you've got a real recipe for disaster. There's really no other way to say it. The movie looks cheap. Sometimes there's the sense that cheap is what it was going for. There's a certain sort of Army of Darkness flavored B-movie sensibility to a handful of scenes, but the gags and the jokes never land well enough to actually sell the self-awareness.
I'm on your side! Sorry!
At the end of the day, there are a couple of charming moments and clever ideas that keep Hellboy from being a complete wash. A handful of the creature designs, for all their sloppy CGI, are genuinely pretty neat, and one or two of the paranormal powers showcased are pretty interesting in concept. But why spend the money and take the time when you do much better to just watch the Del Toro versions again from the comfort of your living room?
Hellboy.
Hellboy is a thin, clumsy, and charmless attempt at rebooting a beloved franchise. It's populated by forgettable characters, motivated by confusing stakes, cheaply executed visuals, and distracting editing. Somewhere, a finger on a Hellboy fan's monkey paw is curling up. Sure, Hellboy might finally be back in the spotlight, but he definitely would have been better off left alone. For more comic book movie reviews, check out what we thought of Shazam and Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you like to watch IGN.